So, Pro Football Focus released their new mock draft. Now, keep in mind, guys, they're releasing this mock draft before the NFL Combine, before we're going to get more information about some of these players. And also, they're releasing this, with their own grade / opinion of these said players. So, I will say that I don't know if I agree with some of their opinions. Like, for example, the Chargers taking a wide receiver here when there's better receivers, in my opinion, on the board still. So, for example, we have Caleb Williams picked 1. We have the Broncos trading up to pick 2 with the Commanders. So, the Commanders aren't going to get a quarterback. They're going to just kind of rely on Sam Howell for another year. Or potentially, drop back and maybe get like Bo Nix or something, or JC McCarthy later on. And yeah, the Broncos are trading up to pick 2 to take Drake May. Okay, interestingly enough, I think everyone for the most part thinks that he is either 1A, 1B with Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels going pick 3. I don't think that's really that crazy. Pick 4 is going to be, let me go ahead and move this down here, Marvin Harrison Jr., which I think that's very logical. Pick 5, Romeo Oduze. Again, like I said, I think Neighbors is a better wide receiver. Now, at the end of the day, is this like the craziest pick? Is in the aspect of, could this ever happen? Well, yes. I mean, every team has different receivers that they think are, good, better, or worse, right? Whatever they think the receiver is best for their said team. So, Romeo Oduze could, in theory, be the best option in Jim Harbaugh's brain. But at the end of the day, I think Malik Neighbors will go before him. Joe Alt going number 6 is not surprising. I don't think that the Giants will go with a tackle. I think they will go with a wide receiver, especially with the receiving core being pretty crap, and potentially losing Saquon Barkley. So they're kind of in that rebuild area. But I will say Evan Neal was a absolute trash can. I'm expecting them to fix that in free agency, though. J.C. Latham going number 7 here to the Titans. Now, don't get me wrong, J.C. Latham is an amazing offensive lineman, right? He is top tier. I will say, though, I do not believe he will be number 7, though. I don't think he'll be the second tackle off the board. And again, I might be completely wrong in the end. We're just kind of guessing here, right? I do believe it's going to be the Penn State guy. I think Fogel will be up there as well, and a couple other guys. I think J.C. Latham is right in the mix, and if Brian Callahan's just like, hey, listen, I love this guy, he's going to take him, right? You take whoever you think is the best fit for you, not what other people are thinking. Again, based on what I've heard, J.C. Latham is not the second guy off the board. Dallas Turner going to the Falcons is really not a surprising pick. Then we have our next set of picks. The Bears go with Malik Neighbors. Of course, so they get a new wide receiver for Caleb Williams. I think in this situation would be a perfect situation for the Bears. They get a quarterback and they get a new wide receiver. There was a lot of rumors that the Bears are going to trade, what's his name? Fields over to the Pittsburgh Steelers and potentially get their first round pick. So there's some things going on there. The Commanders who traded back are going to get J.J. McCarthy. I call him JC. J.J. McCarthy. So that's going to be an interesting play there. Jared Verse goes to the Vikings. Fuga goes to the Jets. And the Jets obviously traded up to get Fuga here. They traded up with Washington. Brian Johnson II goes to the Raiders. The Penn State guy goes to the Saints. So this means that the Penn State left tackle is going to be the third. What is that? The fourth tackle off the board, which would honestly be crazy. Teron Arnold goes to the Colts, and then the offensive lineman goes to the Seahawks. So that means with our pick, we have a couple options here. This I don't think is going to happen, but you know what? At the end of the day, last year we thought Michael Mayer would be a top 20 pick, and he ended up dropping. So, according to Pro Football Focus here, now we have a couple options. Option 1, Brock Bowers. That is an option now in this mock draft. Option 2 is going to be Mims. Option 3, Tyler Guyton. We're going to have to see those two. The next two guys is just listed, the two offensive linemen. We're going to have to see them in potentially in the combine to see how good they truly are. Senior Bowl highlights, kind of wishy-washy, so we're going to have to see them in the combine. The next player on this list here is going to be Kool-Aid McKenzie. Another player that could potentially, we could take. Now, listen, right? I've been very vocal about you got to take an offensive lineman, you got to take a tackle, you got to take a franchise tackle no matter what, right? And I know the Bengals do take best player available. And I think somebody coming down below one of my videos and said, hey man, at the end of the day, I'd rather them take best player available and not force a pick and overdraft somebody. And I do agree. I don't think that the Bengals would ever reach on a player or overdraft a player just because they feel like they need that set position, because that's how you set yourself up for failure. And Cincinnati is very well known for taking the best player available. They do draft based on what positional needs they need, but look at last year. We needed a tight end. We didn't take a tight end. Even though positional need was a tight end, we didn't take one. We ended up taking every position pretty much but a tight end. I will say, though, this is the problem, right? They need to protect Joe Burrow. And while there are some positional needs that you can ignore, like tight end, like wide receiver, like this, that, and third, there isn't many times that you can say you potentially could have a franchise right tackle. And with how bad our offensive line has played this year, if you can't protect Joe, there's no reason to even try to go for a Super Bowl. If you can't keep Joe up and healthy, there's no reason to, in any way, to even think you're going to be a Super Bowl team. You're not an AFC North team at this point if you can't protect Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is our everything. He's our gold. He is our, everything you need. So, while I agree that, they should not overreach for someone and just take like an offensive tackle. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, the worst scenario happens possible, and every tackle that we like is off the board, which I don't think could be possible because I've even talked about potentially taking a standout from the Senior Bowl, which we'll be talking about in a second. I'm going to pull him up when we get closer to him, that we could even take him, right? And I just, again, like I said, I know I'm never usually the type to say we have to take A, B, C, or D. Even last year, I wanted to take an offensive tackle, but I even said, we could also take a tight end, and I was really bold sure on a tight end. It's just, I feel like you have to protect Joe. And if you can't, you're not going to win anything. So, who do they have us taking, right? Because there's a lot of options here. Well, they have us taking Brock Bowers. And to be honest, again, like I said, I think if he is on the board at the moment in time, there will be some consideration in that Cincinnati Bengals room. There will be. Especially with us not taking a tight end last year, not, missing out on the tight end position, missing out on Sam Laporta and Michael Mayer. There will be some pushback, I believe, in the Cincinnati Bengals war room, because there will be, hey, listen, this guy is a absolute diamond in the rust, right? And Brock Bowers is. Brock Bowers is a generational tight end. And it's crazy if he's even available at this point. And I've said many times that he is the one exception that I would not be the most mad about. But again, like I said, I can't see it. I can't see us going tight end over tackle, especially with us potentially losing Jonah Williams. We will literally not have anyone at that spot. Other than that, though, they have Mims going pick 24, and they do have Tyler Guyton going over Mims. And again, this is really going to come down to the combine, and I think that's really what this is going to speak volumes to, is how good the combine ends up showing out for some of these players. And the combine can make or break you. I mean, we saw Orlando Brown Jr., our starting left tackle here. He, from the combine, went from a first-round pick to a third-round pick. He had an awful combine, one of the worst combines of an offensive tackle, and because of that, he dropped 2 rounds. And it was potentially that he could be a first-round pick. Combine sucked. He drops. So let's say, I don't know, Tyler Guyton goes out there and has an awful combine. It's very possible he becomes a second, third round pick. Let's say Tyler Guyton goes out there and performs amazing and does crazy great things. He could go and become a top 15 pick, right? This is why when we do mock drafts, especially for the combine, to a certain degree, it's really impossible to tell what's going to happen because the combine will make or break a player. As Senior Bowl goes and throughout the weeks and months, right, players go up and down draft boards. But once that combine hits, that's really where we see certain players make or break themselves in their careers. And pro day is also another thing. So just keep that in mind. For right now, we're looking at this, but in reality, we could see Mims be a top 15 pick. We could see Mims drop all the way down. We thought Donnell Wright was going to be available last year when we picked. He went number 10 this year to the Bears. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, though, to end this off, we have a projected trade by them. Cooper DeJean went to the Packers. We have Barton goes to the Bucks. We have a trade for Nate Wiggins with the Cardinals. And no, I actually believe this trade right here was from last year. I think the Ravens trade out of the 30th overall pick, and they trade with the Vikings. So this was the Will Anderson trade. This is the other trade. So this is a new trade that the Ravens trade away their first round pick to the Vikings, and the Vikings go up and get Bo Nix. Ooh, that's interesting. I mean, I don't blame them, to be honest. If they lose Kirko, they're going to need a quarterback, and even if they bring him back, you still need a backup and maybe a future option. And then a wide receiver goes to the Chiefs, so they get another wide receiver, probably get rid of Kadarius Toney. Brian Thomas Jr. goes to the Bills. Bills get another wide receiver. That's a pretty smart pick there. Edge rusher to the Lions, pretty smart pick. And again, like I said, I don't think Pro Football Focus did an awful job in this mock draft. I understand they went a little extra, right, with our pick, I feel like. But if you're doing a mock draft and you're not a Bengals fan, you're not a Bengals commentator or Bengals, channel, you're going to try to be as, crazy of a pick as possible, right? And you'll see a lot of this around the internet. A lot of analysts keep saying Brock Bowers to the Bengals. And it's because it's a sexier pick than saying going offensive tackle. At the end of the day, while offensive tackle is very key, it's important, that's what we need, and that's what we're going to go with. If you're an analyst or a sports analyst or a football commentator, nobody wants to hear that. We're the team that is supposed to be the team that can go against Patrick Mahomes and beat Patrick Mahomes. We're the team that has T. Higgins on the last year of his contract, right? If you're a sports analyst, they just want to say someone who's a sexy, skill position player that can change up the offense a little bit or add more firepower for Joe Burrow because they can go talk about it and really kind of keep on with it. So that's what I feel like a lot of analysts, they do talk about when they give us what draft pick we'll take. A lot of them like to go with the Brian Thomas Jr., right? The wide receiver from LSU, or Brock Bowers, or someone like that, Kool-Aid McKinsley. Someone that's going to at least be something they can talk about, be controversial with, and then people will disagree with them. So I'm not surprised by this by Pro Football Focus. It is what it is, Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I think we take J.C. Latham.